of having a former Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, Christi Kendrick. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for inviting me to join you today.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. You know, a lot of people think the arts, and what in the world does a former Dallas Cowboy cheerleader have to do with the arts? But it actually has to do with a lot because you started with a love of dance and love of choreography. And so I just want you to introduce yourself and kind of tell me how you got into it, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Okay. So again, I'm Christi Kendrick. I started dance at about the age of 5, and I took all genres of dance, wound up as a baton twirler in middle and high school, and even into college at West Texas A&M for 1 year.
That's awesome.
My mom and dad, I guess, both talked me into trying out for Dallas Cowboys Cheerleader in 1989, where I wound up making the team. And at the time of tryouts, I was in a rock and roll band, so I was a singer.
I didn't know that. That's
and
exciting.
When I tried out, my final routine was I sang The Greatest Love of All by Whitney Houston. And so they took me and they put me on the show group, and I got to go on the USO tour that year around the world. So I not only danced with the squad, but I also sang. I sang a couple of songs every night to the troops. So it's super huge honor.
Yeah, what an amazing, amazing memory you must have of all that time. That's incredible. So what was it like going through, say, the audition process and getting to know everyone and you know, how you felt right before you went to the stadium? Kind of fill me in on that.
It was pretty surreal.
Uh-huh.
So from the point at which my parents talked me into trying out, I hadn't even thought about it. And so when they brought it up, the deadline was already there. It was like the day that I sent my application in the mail. So it was late to the DCC.
Oh, wow.
But my parents called the director and said, "Hey, my daughter wants to audition. Is it too late?" And they said, "No, it's never too late. Send in your application." So did that, managed to get in. Whirlwind. So I almost didn't have time to get nervous.
Right.
You know, because I didn't have a lot of time. I think that worked in my favor. So came to Dallas, young and stupid, got out there, rocked and rolled. Just had a good time. There were girls that were just terribly nervous, and I really didn't get nervous until finals when I sang. And then I had to hold the microphone with both hands because I was shaking so bad.
Oh gosh, well I can only imagine, yeah.
So then made the squad. Really hadn't researched it, didn't know what I was in for. It's a meat grinder. So
I'm sure.
How many
girls usually make the team?
Right around 36.
I was going to say there's a lot. That's incredible.
And so I think they took like 45 or 46 at finals. And then throughout the summer, they call that training camp. They cut those that got injured. There's always injuries, or struggled a little and maybe weren't quite ready. A lot of those came back the next year and made it. So, you know, anybody that's listening, if you feel like there's no way you could make it, or you try out and you don't make it, just try again. I would say a good chunk of the majority of the girls that make it didn't make it their first time. So it's never too late to try. And there's no age limit. There was a 28-year-old dancer on the squad my year. If you look good in the uniform and you can keep up, you know,
I love that.
There's no limit. You have to be 18. You have to be at least 18.
So, Christi, if you could encourage somebody who has a dancing background, who has a cheerleading background, and they say, you know what, this is crazy, but I want to try this. I just want to try and live that dream. What would you recommend to them? And is there anything that I can help promote to where, you know, they could send in, you know, audition material, or how would you go about that?
So just look at the website, Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders.com.
Okay.
Or go to DallasCowboys.com and look for the link for the Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders.
Mm-hmm.
They have all the information you'd want there on the website.
Right.
Tryouts are about a 2 to 3 week long process.
Mm-hmm.
At least, stuff changes. So don't take my word for that. It's all on the website.
Okay.
But there are prep classes that someone could take if they want to learn that pro style of dance specifically, because it's a hardcore, almost hip hop dance style. And then when the show group comes together, they do more ballet and theatrical and other styles. But the main squad is pretty hardcore dance.
Sure.
And you dance for, the length of a football game. So what is that, like 3.5 hours?
Something
straight.
Like that. Wow.
Straight. So that's why they're grueling during training camp. You have to be conditioned to that. When I was there, we performed in Texas Stadium that had a big hole in the roof. So when it was 110 degrees outside, it's 150 degrees on the field. Well, we've been practicing outside in the heat, so we were conditioned to it. And you dance for 3.5 hours in that kind of heat without fainting. So that was grueling. And then, the season goes on into the snowy months. Right. And so you're out there in the cold too. So they were very good at conditioning us to be able to withstand any of that.
Well, I have to admit, I am a little addicted to watching on Netflix. I don't know what I can say or not, but the show that's on right now, and you guys need to check it out. I mean, the things that those girls go through, and to know you did that. So now you find out, oh my gosh, I'm a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. When was that moment when you were like, it was just, you knew you were where you needed to be? Was there one particular moment, or are there a lot of moments within that time you had?
There were a lot of moments. So the first round of tryouts took place over a Saturday and a Sunday. So you first go in, they put on music and you just freestyle dance. They want to see if you got rhythm. Right. And then they post your number on the wall after that's done. So the first round, you see your number on the wall was like conquering a mountain. And so then you come back the next day and they taught us a couple 8 counts of a routine, and then we had to practice it and do the kick line. They taught us the kick line. And then the last thing we did that day was to actually perform that in groups of 5 girls. You've seen the show, so you kind of know what that looks like.
Yes.
And so if you can't pick the choreography up quickly, you're not going to hang very well.
Right.
And so, again, I had no nerves. I was young and stupid and just jumped out there and did it. And then saw my number on the wall again. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what am I in for? And so over the next 2 weeks, they had everybody come in one at a time. Back then it was one at a time. And we interviewed with the director and the choreographers. And at that time, it was Suzanne Mitchell was the director, and her assistant, Debbie Bond, is the one that interviewed me. Okay. So personal interview, they just kind of get to know you. They want to know what kind of person you are.
Sure.
And my left kick was lower than my right kick. They addressed it at my interview. They said, "What's going on?" And I said, "Hey, I've got this pain in my hip." They sent me to the doctor to get x-rayed and make sure that I was healthy enough to handle it. Right. So I had a doctor notify them I was healthy enough. He put me on a kind of arthritis medication that took down the inflammation, and it fixed it. And I was able to do the year. So yeah, crazy stuff. They are very sticklers for, you have to be strong enough and healthy enough to handle it, or they won't even consider you. Absolutely. For your own good.
Well, because they
don't want you to get injured.
Exactly. On an injury you couldn't recover from, right? Exactly. Wow, that's so incredible. And so I know that there's a huge bond. Of course, I'm a huge Dallas Cowboys fan, but I know there's a huge bond with the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. So is there anything that you're doing currently, anything that's going on that you can talk about?
I can tell you what has happened over the past year,
Okay.
a little bit,
Sure.
because it's debuting tomorrow night.
Oh, okay, great.
And I don't know how much I'm involved in it, but I was there during a lot of the filming. So Netflix, obviously, has come out with a brand new documentary series.
Yes.
Called America's Sweethearts. So everybody watch Netflix.
Sure.
And
check
so,
it out.
I know I'm in at least one scene that is on the promo.
Okay, that's exciting. That is so exciting. Now you have done your 1 year with the Dallas Cowboys, and I know that you are working on other things. Like me, I am a strong advocate in certain things. So I know you do some advocacy work, Christi. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Let me give you a little bit of background first.
Please.
So, I found out in 2016. I had been married 16 years at that point, with my husband a total of 19 years. I guess at that point we dated 4.5 years before we got married.
Right.
And anyway, found out that he had been unfaithful, and that's all I'm going to say there. I don't want to divulge too much publicly.
Sure.
But it was bad. Not just one, but many. There was an addiction problem.
Oh, gosh.
And so, there was no relationship with anybody else. It was an addiction.
Right.
So he had to confide in me that stuff was going on. I had access to a really good program sorry, my light went off there.
That's okay.
Really good church-based program for that kind of addiction.
Yeah.
He went through 13 weeks of that begrudgingly at first. Towards the end of it, he was grateful that he did. My daughter and I moved back home at that point. We thought, okay, we're moving in a good direction. He needs help. He had childhood trauma issues that bled over into his personal life.
Right.
A lot of people deal with that. And so 2 years later, he still living in the other end of the house, and there was no relationship left.
Right.
And I chose to move on because I want to live. I want to have some joy in my life.
Absolutely. You made the right choice. Absolutely.
And it was self-preservation at that point. So we divorced. I started a program called Rising as a Phoenix.
Oh, I love that.
I have a private Facebook page.
Okay.
Called Rising as a Phoenix. It is searchable.
Okay.
I have a lot of information posted there. I can be direct messaged if anybody wants to speak to me personally. Full disclosure, I am not licensed. I'm not a medical doctor.
Right.
If you have an immediate need, please see a professional. I'm considered a life coach. So I can absolutely guide you, share my story, give you some ideas and suggestions for ways to get help and help yourself. So I post periodically, I post information, and I just want to reach those women that feel like they're the only one in the world going through this. And I know for a fact that I'm not the only one.
Absolutely. And I'll share with you just a little. I won't totally get into my story because it's about you, but I'll just say I can understand. I'm 3 years divorced, and you should congratulate me, not feel sorry for me.
Absolutely.
Because I got out of an abusive circumstance. So I do just want to really tell people, even when you think you're at the worst, you are so much more.
Absolutely.
And you should get out, and that I believe everyone is worthy, everyone
Absolutely.
is intelligent, and everyone is beautiful. And if you don't see that in yourself, and someone's not bringing that to the table or making you feel the quality of life that you are supposed to have, then resources like what you're doing is exactly a way to help kind of transition during that time period. And it's just so wonderful that you're doing this, helping people, because that's what the world needs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I will also say, Christi, that in every episode, for me, I always say, you really need to be kind. I always promote kindness, because it doesn't matter who you are. Okay.
Right.
People don't know what
That's
people are
it.
going through. And I mean, you could look like you have the perfect life. And I know I've talked about this before, but I saw an image once where it was on Facebook, and you see a mirror and you see a beautiful apple, and that's what they're showing to the public. But they take it from the back, and there's a bite. And we all have bites. And so I always say, be kind, and to always pay it forward, because you never know what anybody's going through.
That's right. That's exactly right. I want to say, first of all,
yes,
you have to love yourself and be kind to yourself.
yes.
When you are so betrayed to the core of your being, you question yourself and you think, what's wrong with me? So I want to speak to that right now. If someone has betrayed you and they continue to abuse you, it's not your fault. There is nothing you could have done to make someone else turn on you, period. If someone truly loves you, they're going to do everything in their power to show you that and try to keep you.
Exactly. And there's different kinds of abuse. Mine is more verbal until the end, but again, that's another show. But, so there's different facets of it in your advocacy work. Do you focus on just one, or can you help with different resources depending what the people have gone through or are going through? Do you have outlets to help them with whatever type that they might be dealing with in their own life?
Absolutely.
Good.
I think the hardest thing for a woman in our position to understand is that there is help out there. There are other women going through it that have been there, done that can guide you, and get that help.
Absolutely.
Get it.
Right.
Your safety and your future may depend on that.
Yeah, and I will tell you, I was at a point, just speaking from my own personal journey, that you begin to doubt yourself. And
absolutely.
You begin to almost think you're crazy, because like mine would say something terrible and then kiss me on the forehead. So it was total mind games. And what you feel, your soul knows. And I always wondered why good, intelligent women like you, like me, like everyone that's watching out there, don't leave. It has nothing to do with intelligence. It has to do with fear. You feel like you're consumed. You feel like you're walking on eggshells. But the thing is, once you take the power, and once you say, I've had enough, you will be amazed at the release. And then you get to start living your life again the way God wants to.
It's incredibly empowering.
Exactly.
And I count it all as a blessing.
Yes.
Because I've learned how strong I am, and I really don't need a man in my life to survive. I choose to find someone to love me, but I'm not dependent on anybody else. And I think whenever I find that person that's going to love me for me, then I know that's my soulmate. And, only God above knows when the time comes for me to find that person. And so until then, I'm at peace. I really am at peace. I would rather be alone and peaceful than be in some kind of a controlling, abusive situation. I'll never put myself in that position again. Absolutely. It's called boundaries.
Yes, and I love that,
because there's a book I think called Boundaries.
Exactly.
Everybody should read that.
I love
Go
that.
out and get it. Download
and say it one more
on
time. Say the title.
Spotify. It's called Boundaries, and I can't remember the author. Sorry.
I'll find it and I'll hashtag it. So you're good. Okay.
Yes.
Good. I'll do that. And I was going to say too, I've always said it is better to be single and happy than married and miserable.
Absolutely.
And it's not easy, but if it gets down to your health, your safety, you're losing friends because you're isolating, that's a big sign. And we want to pull you out of that. So, Christi, you're awesome. And I really appreciate you spending this time with me and just helping give people hope and also encouragement on the cheerleader side. Let's go back to that with choreography and dance. So much fun. And I just want you to keep doing what you do and just shine that light like you have been, because you're so inspiring. And thank you. So I'll let you tell everybody bye.
And all right.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody for taking the time to watch and listen. And I hope you've learned something, and I hope you know how valuable you really are.
Everyone is valuable.
Everybody's valuable. And give yourself some grace. Take some time to love on yourself and pamper yourself, because you deserve it. If nobody else is going to do it for you, do it for yourself, because you're worth it.
Absolutely. And with that beautifully said, everybody for watching Taking a Merry Break. And as always, this is Mary, and I'm out. Bye.